The Henderson incident, a mass effect short. Jake Morrison sat behind the desk in the lobby of BioWare's Austin branch. Jake was in his 40s, with brown hair that was slowly turning gray and brown eyes. It was his second day a Tuesday, and he was still figuring out who was where. But he had memorized the 10 most important numbers already. He had also been handed 5 notes with warnings to read. They were simply things like, don't talk about politics when Amy Chen from PR is around, and the first 4 he had taken to heart. But the 5th, he still didn't understand. If Hildegarde Henderson shows up, brace, pray, and if you can, hide under the desk. He had just forwarded a call to HR when he heard Carl, the security guard, yelp in distress. And then a tornado of a woman entered the lobby. Jake figured that she was in her 60s and based on her clothes, clearly a Mass Effect fan. And then a lump of dread dropped in his stomach as he realized that this was Hildegarde Henderson. Her eyes had locked onto him like missiles on a target. Jake wondered if there was time for him to hide under the desk for a second. But then his stomach confirmed that it was already too late. It was at this time that Henderson arrived at his desk. "I am Hildegarde Henderson, and you know what I want." "I do. I don't mind having to wait years between games, but I still haven't cuddled with that handsome piece of Krogan beefcake Urdnot Rex, and that I can't tolerate." Jake swallowed. He had been briefed for many things, but a cougar that had feelings for a fictional character was not one of them. "Call him and get him down here now." "I don't have his number." "Oh, really? Did you check the phone's memory?" The phone on his desk was a modern landline. It had enough memory for over 250 numbers. Checking under the U, he was surprised to find Urdnot Rex. "Really?" he thought out loud, but Henderson scared him, so he selected the number and told the phone to dial it. As he dealt with this, Amy Chen from PR entered the lobby. Chen was in her 30s and had worked her for 5 years already. The look on her face made it clear that she was considering turning and running, but Henderson had already noticed her, so it was too late. On the bright side, at least the phone was doing its thing, and somehow, on Tuchanka, a flip phone was ringing. Urdnot Rex looked at the display, sighed, and answered it. "Urdnot Rex," he began. "Let me guess, Hildegarde Henderson is breathing down your neck." "Hi, Jake Morrison. Any yes, she is. So can you know?" "Son, do you know how many people cured the Krogan genophage?" "I don't know the exact percentage from the top of my head, but it's high, Mr. Urdnot," Jake said, while Henderson glared at him. "Exactly, and every time somebody cured it, I had to survive that flood of women wanting to be with me. Now, I signed a contract with your bosses, so I did that. But Henderson, she is just too much." Jake had a hard time disagreeing with that. He also knew what Rex meant about the flood, having played all the Mass Effect game and their expansions. "Sorry, son, but you're on your own." Rex hung up, leaving Jake to stare at the receiver like it had grown teeth. He realized that he would need to break this news to Henderson. And then he noticed something on the phone and realized he might have a chance to survive this incident. So he pressed a couple of buttons on the phone and waited as it dialed another number. He breathed with relief when the number was answered. "Urdnot Grunt," the reply came. "Hello, Mr. Urdnot. This is Jake Morrison at BioWare Austin. We're having noodles." Jake didn't even blink at the lie. It was this or face the wrath of Hildegarde Henderson. "Want some?" There was a click as Grunt hung up. He was putting the receiver down as one of the doors leading into the lobby turned into a white sheet of light. Jake did a double take as Grunt entered the lobby and the door went back to being a door. Before he could say anything, Grunt spotted Henderson and realized what was going on. "There are no noodles, are there?" "Nope," Jake said. "I asked for Rex," Henderson said as she grabbed Jake's collar and yanked him closer. "Not this whelp." "But," Jake swallowed. "He was grown in a tank, made out of several bloodlines. He's perfect, so wouldn't be better at, you know." Henderson pondered that for a moment, then seemed to decide that he was right and let go of him. Jake fell back into his chair. Henderson turned to Grunt, only to find empty space. While Jake had distracted her, Grunt had fled out the building's front door. Jake watched as Henderson bolted from the lobby in chase. Both he and Amy sighed with relief. Well, we survived, but we might have to tell players that Grunt won't be in next game. Jake, you want players, and probably a couple of YouTubers. That Grunt isn't in the next game because he might still be being chased through Austin, Texas, by a crazy cougar. Well, I wouldn't mind talking to that one YouTuber, Renegade6, I think. I think she's cute. I especially like her ears. Jake, that is totally inappropriate. Besides, you're old enough to be her dad. Now, I have to get together with legal and cook up a press release so nobody sues us into oblivion. Don't you mean Skyrim? Jake. Yes, Amy. Focus. Go get the ladder from the supply closet and rescue Carl. The last time Henderson showed up, he climbed into the street lamp in front of the building, which is a problem because he's afraid of heights. Amy walked out in the direction towards legal. Outside, Carl apparently remembered his fear of heights and started calling for help. Jake opened the supply closet and found the ladder. He sighed and headed for the exit. This was going to be a long shift.